Greetings, this is Ron Smalek, and I am reading The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. It is an excellent book. I'm reading it after having watched the movie, and I wanted to record some of my thoughts chapter by chapter. Alright, so chapters 9 and 10 are going to be covered in this video. At the start of chapter 9, we find out that Peeta has requested separate training from Katniss, and she was kind of confused by this because they were just being paired up together in the last chapter. She also goes through her interview practice, which was mainly with Hamish, but also with Effie. And she's obviously never done anything like this before, so she kind of struggles with trying to figure out how she's going to conduct her interview. What sort of persona does she want to display? And sounds like Hamish and Effie get a little bit frustrated with her and basically say, just be yourself. Now, she gets the best advice from Cinna, and I really like this character. I hope we see more of him in the second book or beyond. And I think this is good advice for anyone watching this. If you have to be in a play or any kind of stage production and you've never done it before, if you feel like you're nervous or like you don't want to get up in front of a big audience, think about what Cinna tells Katniss in chapter 9, and basically pick out, one or two faces in the audience that you think are receptive to you, or if your parents are in the audience, pick out, or a friend, pick out that face, and you can do a quick scan of the audience, but then focus on that person, and imagine you're just having a one-on-one conversation with that person, and don't worry about all the other people. Now, most likely, a lot of the faces are going to get blocked out by the lights anyway, but I definitely think Cinna's advice is really good here. Another lesson for anyone, younger age that's reading this book. At the end of chapter 9, Peeta basically has his interview and reveals his crush on, I guess what I would call national TV. Chapter 10 actually starts part 2 of the book. The book's actually divided up, I think, into 3 total parts. This is the beginning of part 2. And Katniss is pissed. So she is pissed that Peeta revealed his feelings for her on national TV. She's not sure if it's true or if it's part of an act. And then she gets even more upset because the whole crowd assumes that she likes him back because she blushed in her reaction. So, she's supposed to be focused on training to survive and kill people. And here she's dealing with this feeling situation. They get back to their floor, and they're with a small audience, their prep team, with Cinna, Hamish, Effie, and Portia, I believe. And she shoves him. He falls, breaks a pot, cuts his hands. I guess he cuts his hands pretty bad. I was actually wondering if this was going to come back later in some way. It doesn't really come back, meaning like the injury itself. I guess it heals up by the time he gets to the games, but it is reflected in other chapters where she feels like she owes him more and more. And every encounter she has with him, she comes away feeling like she owes him. After this group encounter, then they're both unable to sleep, and they have a smaller, quieter one-on-one encounter at night. It starts off better, but then it does still end up with her being upset and confused. The next thing I want to note is Cinna is basically the one who sets up the Mockingjay pin as being what I would call a Chekhov's gun. You can look up what that means on Wikipedia, but it's basically a prop that has some significance later. And then this one basically ends where they're going up the tube shafts into the games itself. So now it's about to get real. Now, I did want to say one other reaction I had in the movie as well as in the book. So up to this part, I don't really feel like the author highlighted the violence quite enough. And what I mean by that is it's hard for me to feel this is real, like what these teenage kids, me being the reader, what these teenage kids are really feeling, and that they're going to suddenly launch into killing, even though some of them have supposedly been trained all their lives. Because I mean, when I was that age, and even now, if you told me I was being put into an arena to fight for my life, I think I would land and I would look around, but I wouldn't. I don't know if I could do it. Now, I feel like one thing that they could have done in the story to make you feel like these kids actually are of the mentality that they can attack each other is maybe have shown us either through flashbacks or um, maybe during their training they watch recordings of past Hunger Games so that they can see the violence and that it's really real, or even talk a little bit more about what happens in their districts when they're being, they're basically slaves that are being, you know, physically mistreated by the guards or whatever. But basically, like, make the violence a little bit more real, because when we get to the next chapter and it actually starts, it's just such a 360-degree turn from their confused training to boom, they start fighting and killing each other. So those are my notes on chapters 9 and 10. See you next time.